Hey guys, your crazy coach lady Amanda Trombley here, and as always, we are exploring all the elements to unleash emotional freedom and redefine madness in our own lives, struggle, and journey. And today we are having a little anxiety chat. So without further ado, let's jump right into it and get down to business. As I've said multiple times on many of these chats, anxiety is one of my favorite topics, and the reason that I love dealing with emotionality is because there's a root cause for the issues that we are having. Although a lot of things we believe are rooted in chemical balance, in chemical imbalances, and there's the science and the nature to depict that being true, so much anxiety is something that is so very clear cut as to where it came from and why it's existing in your life. And so that being said, because it's very clear cut, it gives us the answers. It opens us to the answers that we need to really get down to the bottom of it. And all mental health issues, I believe, very much have this exact same theme in their own personal story in your life. But when it comes to anxiety, it is one of the clearest elements to really represent how it is the answers to your problem. And so what I mean by this, what excites me about anxiety is it really gives you the answers. Anxiety is that voice inside that's asking for something. It's that voice inside that's telling you something. It's the warning signal going off in your mind, in your life, in your emotional, spiritual, physical self that is giving you a warning that something needs to change. And when we tap in, when we lean into this relationship with our anxiety, it opens us up to all of the answers of what exactly we need to fix in our lives. And that is a miracle. That means that something that we've been struggling with or holding on to for a season, a year, or a lifetime can really be answered and healed and changed and really transformed in our life by just listening to our own intuition, by really tapping in and getting to know exactly what our story is calling us to move. Not what we have to do, not what is required of us to do, but what it really takes to light your soul back on fire and move away from this anxiety. So anxiety is one of my favorite topics. It's one of the things that I do these mini chats on all the time because too much of our society is struggling with it. Too much of us have accepted anxiety as the norm, as yelling at our kids the norm in our life, as getting flustered and not being able to focus the norm in our life, of being overwhelmed and having way too much to do on that to-do list as the norm. And too many of us say that there's nothing we can do about it, and that is absolutely incorrect. And so I want to look at, for just a brief moment, exactly all of the excuses that you make in your life. Because regardless of how motivated and powerful and in tune with yourself you are surviving on a host of excuses. And your anxiety is bringing this to your attention. And I'm here to call you out right there, right now, on those excuses. Here's just a quick example. 99% of the women that I talk to, when we go into what do we need to change in your life to give you a little bit more time, freedom, space, calmness, peace, and serenity, they all tell me, there's nothing I can change. I have this, I have this, I have this I have to do. So-and-so needs me, such and such needs me. I'm already maxed out on time. There's nothing I can add, and there's nothing I can take away. That is the response that 99% of my clients and mothers that I speak to tell me. And this could not be further from the truth. Now, I know that your schedule's overwhelmed, and when you say that, you're coming from an honest desperation of you don't see where you have time. And I know that many of us go from the second we wake up to the second we go down. But that is exactly the problem. See, you do have the time. You have the same amount of time in the 24 hours that I have, that the person that has twice your load has, and the person that has nothing on their plate has. You have the same 24 hours in a day. The problem is where you're focusing your time. And I know you have a job and you have kids to take care of and you have family members that need your attention and you have commitments and you have volunteer work and you have all of these things in your life that fill up those remaining 16 hours after sleep. But what if you found 30 seconds of time? 30 seconds of time. Let me ask you, how much throughout the day are you spending in the car? And what are you doing during those times when you spend in the car? Are you speaking with your children and being intimately and emotionally engaged with your children that entire time? Are you stuck, lost in thought that entire time? Are you talking on the phone, bitching about your life to a friend? Or are you actively engaged while you're in the car in growing and learning something new? Car rides are an absolutely transformative time to really begin to recode the truth within inside your soul by using those little moments of time to turn on a podcast, to put on the spiritual station, to pray, to meditate, to ask yourself those deep, dark questions that are going on. Whether you drive 3 minutes a day or 3 hours a day, this is time in your life that you're allowing to go to waste that really could be used. How often do you take a shower a week? Are you just showering in the shower? Are you just allowing the entire day to fall off of you at the same time planning your next day? Or are you really using this time to get in touch with your body, to understand what you need, to really begin to move through some emotional issues that you are dealing with? When you are doing your makeup, when you are doing your hair, how long does that take you? For some people it's 3 minutes, for some people it's 30 minutes. But at each point in the day, we pass a mirror. We stop for a second to look at ourselves. Are you simply combing your hair? Are you simply doing your makeup? Or are you filling yourself with all the love and gratitude and telling yourself just how powerful and beautiful you are in this 15-minute snippet of time? And right there, in just 30 seconds, in just 2 minutes, I created 3 elements of time for you where you should be focusing on changing your life. Where even if you have the busiest schedule, those are elements in your day where you can add to. The reason that you're not is because you're making excuses for that. Because you haven't learned how to pivot from what you're dealing with. And so when it comes to dealing with your anxiety and it comes to transforming your anxiety, the first thing that you absolutely have to do is you have to look at your life. And you have to stop with your excuses. You absolutely cannot make excuses when it comes to self-care. And I don't care if those are good excuses. Those can be the best excuses in the world, but you don't get to make them. Because the bottom line is you have to begin to find time for you, and you have the same amount of time in your day as each and every one of us. And so I'm going to say it again, and I say it's the very first thing that I work with every single client of mine, no matter how long they've been on their personal development journey and no matter what their goals are. You have to define the excuses in your life. Figure out what they are. Where are you running from areas of time, from areas of effort, from areas of attention, from so many things in your life because of excuses? Where are you allowing yourself to use motivation as an excuse, time as an excuse, energy as an excuse? Where are you using all of these elements in your life that could be casted as positive things in your life, that could be casted as things to be grateful for in your life, as excuses? The bottom line is you have to raise your standards for yourself. This isn't an overnight practice. This isn't an overnight thing. You have to get nitty-gritty with yourself. And you have to really look at where your standards are for yourself in your entire life. Are your standards high enough to get you to the goals that you have to be emotionally free, to have emotional freedom, to be released from the confines of anxiety? Are your standards good enough to get you there? If they're not, you know exactly where you need to start. And it's my knowledge, it's my experience that if you're sitting here listening to this video right now, your standards aren't high enough. Your standards are based off of your excuses. And your standards for your life is actually what's harming you. It's actually what's contributing to your anxiety. It's exactly why that anxiety is a flashbulb light in your life right now saying, calm down, slow down, I need this from you. You need to look at those standards and see where they line up to excuses and see where that is defining your life in a bad way. Because what we should have is standards that defy excuses, that allow us to reach for our goals every single day. Every single day. We should be living by standards that defy our excuses and allow us to reach to those goals of emotional freedoms, those goals of being released from our anxiety. So get serious with yourself and define what your standards are and make a commitment to separate them from the excuses that are ruling your life, and begin to place standards in place that absolutely magnify and align with your future goals. Here's another part of this problem, guys. You don't have issues. Too many of us are spending way too much time complaining about the issues in our life, about the problems in our life, whether it be the kids that don't listen, whether it be the mother-in-law that nags, whether it be the chores or the money or the this or the that. Too many of us are looking at our lives as issues, as all of these things in our lives as issues. And believe me, I've been there and I've felt the overwhelmingness of having to take care of a loved one or having to start in the morning and go all the way till the evening and really never getting any time for yourself. I understand the overwhelm of the house always being dirty and the pillows always needing fluffed and the kids always needing something. But this is your life, and all of these elements in your life are not issues. They are elements in your life that have been brought to you to add to your story, to serve you with courage, to serve you with strength, to serve you with power, to serve you to in the future, to align you with exactly where you need to be. Even if these issues in your life are really hard and really suck, they're still not issues because they are meant to bring you up, because they are meant for you to find the message in that mess. Every single thing that we deal with in our life is so blessed to us, is sent straight for us, is such an amazing task for us, the difficult ones even more than the ones that we're naturally able to feel grateful for. And so along with stopping those excuses and raising your standards, we have to really begin to intentionally step into gratitude and change the verbiage that we have in our life. If our relationship to our life is crappy, if most of the stuff that comes out of our mouth is overwhelm and complaint or yelling about elements in our life, we are going to continue to feel this way. And so we need to begin to intentionally take the actions to create gratitude in our life so that we are consciously, constantly stepping into a state of gratitude in every single day with the elements in our life. So we are picking away at the message within our mess. We will not be able to grow or get anywhere if we are constantly staying stuck in a state of complaint. If we are constantly staying stuck in a state of lack, we will always have that for ourselves. Now, I understand what it is to really feel that lack deep and down. But we also have to see that you're choosing to feel that way about your life. You're choosing to allow these elements in your life to create these feelings of lack. And so we have to change the perspective here. We have to create intentional action steps to really pivot from this state of mind that is extremely detrimental to us and begin to pivot towards a state of mind that can really change our story, that can really bring the message out of our mess. As we move forward here, one thing that you will hear me say again and again and again in every video that I do is that you must have a life that is dependent on you creating massive self-care rituals. Whatever it may be in your life, wherever your busyness, whatever anxiety you're dealing with, whatever overwhelm, whatever mental health concern that you are dealing with, if you do not have a standard of creating these massive self-care rituals in your life, you are not going to get where you need to go. So identify the gaps of time when after identifying your excuses, after setting some standards for yourself, and after stepping into a new perspective, identify all of those gaps of time that now come to fruition, that we're not stuck in lack and we're not stuck in excuses, and put as many self-care rituals as you can, whether that be reading a good book, sitting quietly in your living room, doing 5 minutes of yoga, 5 minutes of exercise, going on a walk in the evenings, actually spending the time to affirm yourself through body touching, sensational techniques. There are 100 million different self-care rituals that we can put into our daily lives. Some that take no more than 3 seconds, some that take more than 3 hours. Depending on the time that you have, begin small and add these things into your life so your anxiety can begin to speak to you in a way that is good for you. That's all for this story, for this anxiety chat. As always, there will be more.